The following podcast contains spoilers and adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
The Showdown Podcast with Corey and Vic. A debate on what movie is better, Corey's choice versus Vic's choice. They each plead their case and try to destroy the others. It's a combat of subjective opinion. I'm Brad Scott, your impartial judge, and as always, my say is final.
Welcome to the Showdown Podcast. Today's episode, From the Ring to the Silver Screen Square Off, featuring our special guest Chris Trueblood from That 90s Band. Today's combatants are Corey Cheap Pop Miller and his film They Live, and his opponent Vic Vicious and his film GI Joe Retaliation. I'm your host, Brad Scott, live from Corey's Kitchen. Let's get ready to podcast. All right. Welcome to the Showdown Podcast, an award-winning podcast. We are live from Corey's Kitchen, and we are joined today by our special guest, Chris Trueblood. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And we are not responsible for what happens to your career after your appearance on the Showdown. That's just like a little disclaimer we like to get out front. And you are part of That 90s Band, correct?
Yes, I am the bass player.
The bass player? And what kind... I assume That 90s Band, you play a lot of 90-second songs.
Mostly.
Okay. No, what? You guys play a lot of 90s?
Yeah, we're all 90s.
Okay, what are the hits? What are the big songs that you
hits,
play?
Like a lot. Pearl Jam, Alive. Do some Flagpole Sitta.
Oh, I love that song. Harvey Danger.
That's a big one.
That is my sophomore year of high school, or Corey's, bicentennial.
Right. But Nirvana, Third Eye Blind.
Oh, nice.
The hits.
Soundgarden,
yes.
And we will find out during our commercial portion where we can where people can reach you guys at and find out your schedule and all that good stuff. But today we do have From the Ring to the Silver Screen. Corey, why don't you tell them the connection for today's films?
Well, because one of these topics, this topic was actually supposed to be a rockumentary, and we quickly nixed that because we couldn't figure out enough movies to do it, and then we were like, all right, we're having to we can't do it. So we went with a wrestler.
Was that English? Was that even like
awful?
What the hell
I'm
was
like,
that?
well, first of all, way to answer a question I didn't ask. What is the connection between the movies we're actually doing on the show, Corey?
Oh, was that the question?
That's the question.
Take two.
The answer is that these are movies that are starring wrestlers that are not wrestling movies.
Okay, and so They Live features
Roddy Piper,
and of course GI Joe Retaliation features the People's Champ, the Great One, The Rock. Let's go to the coin toss. Corey, since your WWE superstar is now dead, why don't you call it?
Oh, thanks. Okay. Heads.
Siri, flip a coin.
It's heads.
All right, Corey.
That racist bitch is against me every time. Every time. It's a white phone. Corey's white. Make the connection.
Vic's like, can we get a Boost mobile phone in here so that the black man can have a chance? Well, we would do that, Vic, but there weren't enough minutes. So, Corey, are you going to defer, or are you going to go first?
I think I will go ahead and defer.
All right. Vic, tell us about GI Joe Retaliation.
So, GI Joe Retaliation I chose it because GI Joe plays a pivotal part in my childhood. I watched it getting up in the morning. I came home from school. The first thing I did was drop my books and go back to watching it.
Drop in his drawers.
Unlike some people in the room, Corey. We spent a lot of time playing G.I. Joe out in the yard with my buddies. We collected them. I still, to this day, have a good portion of the rarer versions of those characters, and some of which are actually featured in this film. So basically, the story behind it is that The GI Joe team is tasked with defending the U.S. interests overseas and internationally. They are the president's private kind of strike force to take care of any terrorist things that are going on. In the start of this movie, they are helping to retrieve a defector who's going to help the U.S. to kind of slow down nuclear arms that are going around, and they want to protect this guy from the Russians who have him captured. So they break into what seems to be a low-level security bunker and break this guy out. You right away meet Duke Hauser, who's the leader of the group, played by Channing Tatum.
Prodigy doctor, was a doctor at, I believe, age 14.
And
Best bit buddy Vinny, crazy hijinks.
And all ensues. And then you have, of course, my connection to this movie, which is Rock, who plays the gumbo cook of the G.I. Joe squad. And he is named Roadblock. He's the heavy weapons specialist for the G.I. Joe squad. I know all of their fucking bio cards by memory, I think, after all the years of collecting them. They are trying to get away, and they complete their mission by saving this guy. You're introduced to Mouse also, and a Lady J. I can't remember this chick's name, though.
Was Mouse one of the characters in the cartoon?
He is not. That was not the character in the cartoon. He's actually the communications officer, but they renamed him for this particular incarnation of the storyline. Well, he wasn't really that important, and as we're about to find out, he dies. So
Spoiler.
They get on with yeah, we do a lot of that around here. They get back and they report in and let everyone know that they have...
Even though this movie is old, we're legit spoiling it because nobody fucking saw it.
I did.
See? So did Corey. He owns it, even though he's going to try to play that down. They get back, they report in that they've accomplished their mission. They get sent on another mission, which is to secure nuclear arms from Iran. The president of Iran has been assassinated. Nobody really knows who did it, but they know that now the nuclear arms in that country are free and open game to all the terrorist organizations in the world. So they send the Joe Squad in to capture those armaments and bring them back so that no one can have them except for us. Either way, we still win. So they send the Joe team in. The Joe team goes in. They secure the arms. They come back. They're waiting for extraction, and they get jumped by their own government. The U.S. government sends in a tactical squad that basically bombs them from afar and kills off all of the Joes. At least that's what they think.
Thanks, Obama.
It was just set up so nicely. The surviving members of the G.I. Joe team, which is Roadblock, played by The Rock, Lady J, and Flint, escape by jumping down a water well, which the Cobra Force, which is the anti-terrorist force that the president has put in place to eliminate the Joes as his new task force, it goes to the well. They look down. They figure someone might be in there, so they start shooting. The Joes stay calm and take a couple shots past their heads. Nothing happens. They eventually leave, and they climb out of the well to figure out what's going on. The president, who at this point we know has been kidnapped by Cobra forces, namely by Zartan, who is the master of disguise for the Cobra organization, has used nanotechnology to make himself look like the president, has convinced everyone that he is the president, has actually been doing shit to make the president's popularity level increase. So by becoming a dick as the U.S. president, he actually made our lives better, per se. And by doing so has also caused a lot of the headaches that the U.S. has been dealing with the United Nations to go down.
He's going to make America great again.
No thanks to Obama? No? All right. We'll let it go. Sit with the finger on that thing?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I had one for Corey earlier, but I didn't have it pulled up. So, but I can always, anytime I forget, Corey will remind me. I should have that ready to go.
So, after they believe that they've annihilated the Joes finally make it back to the stateside, and they figure they need to figure out what's going on and why they were attacked, why the country has gone after them. So they go to hide out back in Roadblock's hometown. They hide out at a gym, which ironically was named Hauser's gym, which is the actual name of Duke. That's his Abernathy is sorry, not Duke. No, it is Duke. Duke's actual stepfather's name is Abernathy, and that's what the name of that gym was. So they kind of threw a couple Easter eggs in there as well, along with a bunch of them towards the end of the movie, which actually made it more enjoyable for me as a collector and someone who really follows the GI Joe storylines. Really interesting. So basically, they go through the roles of trying to figure out, 1, why the government's after them, 2, why they tried to kill them, and 3, who's actually in charge of what's happening. So while they're trying to figure that out, a secondary storyline comes up, which is the fact that Cobra Commander and Destro have been captured, as we know from the prior movie, which will not be talked about. I have many problems with that movie. But they are in a black site prison that is literally in international waters per se, because it's so deep underground that it actually isn't in a country. It's just kind of between all the countries. They capture Snake Eyes, who the U.S. government has accused of assassinating the president of Iran, and they capture him and bring him in, and they're going to put him in prison with Cobra Commander and Destro because they're just too dangerous to put anywhere else. The guy who puts them in is kind of comical. He's using them. That's kind of like his collection of super bad guys down there. So he's talking a bunch of crap, which, as we know, whenever someone talks that much, they're going to get fucked over. And he does, because they come to find out through the time that they don't actually have Snake Eyes. They actually have Storm Shadow, and Storm Shadow was literally there to break out Cobra Commander and escape in order for him to try to continue his route to take over the world. Helping him with this is Firefly, who is arguably my favorite Cobra figure and character in the stories, the comic books, the TV show, and everything. Basically, he is a demolitions expert, and he has some of the fucking coolest shit that he makes and designs and blows shit up, including a motorcycle that literally splits apart into 5 or 6 different exploding pieces, rockets towards the main gate of this prison, blows it up, and he gets in to help Cobra Commander and pardon me.
I think you just bored yourself.
No, I'm about to sneeze, and it's not coming. So cut that out. I'm seriously, something just went right in my fucking face, and I don't know what to do.
Oh, Corey, he'll move, throwing salt in the eyes.
I learned a thing from Yokozuna. I threw some of that salt into
It may have just been him farting over there. He says, that'll do it too. So they managed to escape, but not before Storm Shadow was mortally wounded, because the dickhead that was running the prison shot a bullet at a thermal containment unit, which lit the whole fucking place on fire and scorches the fuck out of Storm Shadow. So he gets taken away to what is referred to by fans of this movie as Ninja Mountain, to be healed by a special ninja healer, this old lady in the mountains who is a healer for the Cobra clan. So they disappear. The original Joes are now still obviously trying to figure out who's responsible for what's going on. For what's going on, and they decided the only way that they're really going to do is they need to find somebody that's still within the governments per se that will help them, and they go to find Colton, General Colton, who is the actual original GI Joe, which again, another Easter egg, is the name of the first GI Joe character, was General Colton, who's played by Bruce Willis, another one of my favorite actors, next to Samuel L. Jackson, who's not in this movie and should be.
Bruce Willis, who we all know from the episode of Friends where he was dating Jennifer Aniston.
And one of the greatest Christmas movies of all times, Die Hard. And
I was going to say, I didn't think I remember him being in Santa with Mustangs.
I thought it was Christmas with the Cranks.
So he explains to them that, there's obviously something going on. He kind of comes up with a plan with them to try to find out who is actually impersonating the president. They succeed in that plan and figure out that Zartan is actually the president, and that's why they're having all the problems they have. They then come up with a plan on how to eliminate Zartan and Cobra Commander and stop Cobra by capturing Storm Shadow, who is now, again, on Ninja Mountain, which is basically the Himalayas. And they're in a temple at the top of the Himalayas. Storm Shadow and Jinx basically scale the mountain, zip line from one side of this mountain to the other in some epic fucking flying ninja craziness. And capture Storm Shadow, bring him back to face his crimes for killing the Hard Master, who is the Arashikage's leader when they were children, was murdered, and they come to find out that Zartan was actually the one who killed him, framed Storm Shadow for this, and turned Storm Shadow evil, which is a huge storyline in the actual comic books, cartoons, and all other mythos for G.I. Joe. So they actually brought that into it, which was kind of cool. Once they figure out that he's not responsible for the death of the Hard Master, he decides that he's going to help them to annihilate Cobra because Zartan is actually the president and is pretty much behind the whole thing. He's pissed. He wants revenge, so he's going to help them. He divulges the entire Cobra story as to what they're doing and how they're doing it. The Joes swoop in. They stop them in some epic gunfights. There's a scene in there which is hilarious where basically General Colton, his entire house is a armory of weapons out the ass. Every cabinet, every closet, every spot possible, even down to grenades underneath of his fruit, his fake fruit. This man is armed to the teeth. And there's a number of points in there which is rather interesting. And I know some people think, mainly someone at the table with me, that this is a little bullshit. But if you go on Facebook at any given time right now, you can pull up about 5 different things that show how people have converted their living room table, the wall picture, into weapons storage caches. So it's completely believable that this is something that would happen, which makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Wasn't Roadblock in the original comics a chef?
He was a gumbo chef.
So how did they not have the line, "Do you smell what the block is cooking"?
There are several occasions where you think he may have done something along that lines, but I think they were just kind of... I don't know whether or not he really acknowledged... I think at this point he was trying to be more of a serious actor, which you're in the G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah,
you're in the G.I. Joe movie, but I think he wanted to kind of separate his wrestling roles from what he's doing in the movie. So there's not a lot where you see him do anything along that lines.
I don't even think he did any wrestling moves either.
He did. When he fights Firefly at the end,
he drops a people's elbow.
Does he do rock bottom on him?
Okay. Right, like when they're between the pillars and they're fighting with the guns. When he comes out to shoot him, he grabs him and rock bottoms him against the thing. That's how he knocks him out and steals his explosive.
Because I know he's tried. He pulled that off in the last Fast and the Furious movie too.
Yeah,
he did it through the table.
He does he kicks that dude's ass. But so. Once they go through, the Cobra Commander and the President have basically are holding a disarmament summit for all of the controlling nuclear superpowers in the world. He calls their bluff and launches all the U.S. nuclear missiles and says, "What are you gonna do now? You can either fight back or I'm just gonna kill y'all." So they all launch their nuclear weapons. Then he turns around and goes, "Oh, I was joking." Just detonates ours and says, "I'm not going to kill anybody. Are you guys going to follow, or are you going to be responsible for destroying the world?" So they all inadvertently now click off and destroy their nuclear armaments. Now the world is free of nuclear armaments except for Cobra, who has a fucking tungsten alloyed world-destroying weapon orbiting in space that they have the only control over, and basically tell them, if you don't comply and give Cobra Commander control of the world, we're going to destroy you all. They drop one of those things on London and completely annihilate it, letting everyone know that basically this has the capability of doing nuclear bomb damage without any of the fallout. So they all kind of start to comply, and that's when Storm Shadow turns on them. Jinx pops out as one of the Red Ninjas, and Snake Eyes comes in, guns blasting. They take out Cobra, and they all scatter to the wind. The Rock chases down Firefly, who has the detonation box for the Thor system. And this is the part that I enjoyed most about this entire movie. So once he leaves and chases him down, he takes off, And there are at least 7 different vehicles in this movie that are actually vehicles that are truly in the comic books, the cartoons, and the TV show. Because they've got helicopters that are fashioned after the Fang helicopter. They have a water moccasin, which is one of the stealth boats that Cobra uses. They have the Hiss tanks, which was a main portion of the movie, building that. But they also have this thing called the Ripsaw, which is actually now an actual army attack weapon that they're building. But is also represented as another toilet. So there were like 7 or 8 different instances where those were just Easter eggs that were, to people like me, really cool to see they actually put into the movie, which really, I think, accounted for most of the budget of this movie. Because building those things. I know that Ripsaw thing, I saw the special on how they built that thing. It was like $3.5 million for that damn thing. But that's our
That's a real vehicle.
It is a real vehicle.
They're working on the amphibian version.
The amphibious version, yep. So, and there was actual
something I know.
One of those like, you know how they have the chopper was Orange County choppers for motorcycles. There's another one. There's another show like that does concept vehicles, and that company is the one who built that vehicle, and the military liked it so much they actually said, "We're gonna use this now." You thought it was a joke. We're gonna really make one.
That's why we can't stop ISIS.
Exactly.
Send a bunch of those things after ISIS. See what happens. I mean, it can't be too bad. So the Joes finally take out the Cobra forces. Cobra Commander escapes, thus leaving the window open for more GI Joe movies, which makes my young soul happy. And the Joes
and there will be, right? Because
there are.
Because it grossed almost $400 million.
Yes. So they're going to make more. They've actually patterned an entire universe, movie universe, behind the Hasbro lines, as well as the GI Joe universe itself. So it'll be based in the GI Joe universe, but all the other crossovers that they did in the comic books and the TV show will be brought into individual universes.
Most likely, except Transformers.
No, they've changed that. Actually, they've updated it, and Transformers will be one of the ones that they're going to cross over with.
Really?
Yes.
Is Michael Bay involved?
Don't know.
That is the thing now, right? Like, every movie's got to have a crossover to another movie.
TV shows, movies, yeah, they all kind of feed off of each other.
Yeah, but what he's talking about, they were already in their own universe anyway. So it's not just an excuse to cross them over.
The GI Joe universe in the comic books, if you watch the Transformers movie, that Nest group that they have, which is the human military helping the Transformers, the Autobots, that was actually GI Joe in the comic books.
Mm-hmm. What if like other types of movies did? Like, what if the Butler and the Help
had their own universe?
Yeah, that will look like what's her name? The Oscar winner, the old black lady.
I forgot her name.
Yeah,
oh, Vic, you know,
just because she's black doesn't mean I know she is.
She won an Oscar
Oprah?
For the Help.
Oprah?
No. Like Oprah, kind of.
Like
Olivia,
Oprah, but without her money.
Oh, Oprah.
Like Oprah, but without her money?
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Hold on, we'll find Viola Davis.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. What if Forrest Whitaker?
They got together and made their own thing, but it was a very, for me, it was a very nostalgic movie. And I felt like the second one is how they should have done the first one to start with. They kind of made a mockery of it a little bit the way they did the first one. And they literally probably could have like, if you hadn't seen that first movie, you could watch this movie and be fine with the background story of everything that happened in it, because you don't really need to know all the ridiculous stuff that happened in the first one to know what happened here. So it was kind of like a reboot without it being a reboot to me. And as long as they keep on this track rather than doing what they did before, it'll continue to be a good money-making movie.
Here's some things that I didn't care for. It's time for that. Flint. Okay, I like that they introduced Flint, because in the first one wasn't there, and to me he was always probably my second favorite Joe character behind Snake Eyes.
But why? Because he was a dick?
No, I just thought he looked cool.
What a great way to start off your things I didn't like segment. Here's some things I didn't like. I did like...
No. You haven't let me finish. The thing that I liked about him is I thought he looked cool. And one of those things was that hat. That hat was non-existent in this movie, so that's one thing.
He had it on in the beginning of the movie when he climbed into, when they first started, he had it on when they climbed
So he
into
had it
the
on
thing.
for one scene, and then he was...
A hat doesn't make the man.
And
Yes.
what kind of hat was it?
I don't know what I don't know what they call it.
But what is he?
It's-
Do you know what he is?
Oh, it's a beret. It's a beret.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
I knew it was a beret.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to lead Corey to
sometimes
his
you gotta
arguments.
lead it, yeah. They also killed Duke in the beginning. I mean,
Yes.
That's because Channing Tatum didn't want to be in the movie, right?
Well, he didn't want to be in the first
But he was
one.
like contractually obligated type deal.
He was, but he did not want to be in the first one at all. Like he
So
was
why
like,
did he-
I
why
don't
did
want
he
to do
agree
this
to do it?
because he had to. When he was
Like
like
a film.
the first
package or
movie he
something?
did, they said, okay, we'll let you be in this movie, but you have to sign a 3-movie deal. And when you're like the first time you get a major deal, you'd be like, yeah, give me the fucking paper, I'll sign it. And they said, we need
because
you
he
have to do
wanted
this.
Magic Mike, so we had to
That's
do that
exactly what it was. So
Why
you gotta pay
wouldn't
your
he
dues.
want Magic Mike? You know how much money he's made off Magic Mike?
one.
alone?
That's not the point I'm trying to argue here.
What's the point you're trying to argue?
Yeah, what is the point you're trying to...
That-
We're still not sure.
That it was a bad movie. Anyway, they
Well,
ki-
yeah, it was a bad movie, but it made a ton of money. Like that, I don't think he was doing
Enough
it
for him
the,
to come back for the second one, which
Yeah.
still made him a bunch of money.
I don't think he was trying to look for the art in it.
Also, to that point, one of the other storylines in the GI Joe movie, the original cartoon movie, is that he does sacrifice his life for one of the Joes in order to save him from being blown up, which is exactly how he.
Well, he
died
doesn't want to be in
one.
this movie. Let's just pull that story.
That's the storyline. However, he's going to be in the third one too.
How
so
the hell is he going to do that?
It's flashbacks. He's still going to be in the
Naturally.
Clone.
Yeah. They're gonna
Cobra
use-
does that, so it's very possible. And that was an episode of GI Joe the cartoon where they did clone the Joe, and so it is.
I thought it was convenient though that Snake Eyes wasn't there when all the other Joes died, with the exception of the 3, just because, from a writing perspective, just like let's figure out how we can get him away from that, because he is probably one of the most popular Joes, and so he doesn't die. Let's make sure he's not even there to begin with.
However,
I just thought that was real
if
convenient
you know
writing.
anything about the storyline and the mythos,
He
of
wasn't
G.I.
in
Joe,
there in G.I. Joe number 502.
No. Actually, in the first one, he's not actually ever with them also, because he's actually more of a mercenary now than he is an actual Joe member. He shows up to help them out when they need help, but he was actually on another mission hunting down Storm Shadow, which is how he ended up outside of the prison, because he followed Storm Shadow to the prison when Storm Shadow got captured. So he was on his own mission at the time, which all of the Joes, which there were hundreds of them at one point, all go off on different missions at different times. So you're only seeing one story of what these Joes are doing. There are other Joes doing other things.
And the whole story that they had with him and Storm Shadow, I just felt like it was too long. I think that if they could have cut it down, or even made that like a bonus extra on the DVD, I just felt it was too long. And the whole training thing with RZA, he's fucking terrible. RZA is at acting.
Training montage.
Yeah, the whole training thing with RZA. You know what I'm talking about. Don't try and act
There
like
was
you
no
don't.
training montage.
Yes.
There was a
With what's her name?
trial
With what's her name? Yes.
with Jinx.
Yes. her.
And she was training with Snake Eyes.
Yes. They
And
did.
he was standing in the corner going, "She's a Rashikage. I know you don't trust her, but you have to because
I
she's
know
part
you
of the
don't trust
family." What part of that was training? Was a training montage with RZA?
He's
He was
training.
just standing there
I
talking
know it.
to them.
And he's horrible at acting.
But that got him 2 more movies.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
Which
matter.
made money.
Yeah,
Not
and
to
I think
mention
he
the fact
produced
that,
them too.
not to
So
mention
it's
the
not like
fact
it was real hard
that
to do.
the ninja scenes in this are one of the main things that everyone loves about this movie. So saying that and that's one of the reasons it made as much money as it did.
Because of one ninja scene.
One of the reasons you must listen to what a black man says.
They could have kept it in there, but just cut it down. It would just. This movie was almost 2 hours long. It didn't need to be that long. They could have cut that down, saved some time, put that stuff as bonus material.
The movie isn't 2 hours long these days.
Oh, there's lots of them.
Not good ones.
Yeah. And besides, like I said, Riz is a terrible actor. When the first time I saw this movie and he came on, I was like, "Oh, you fucking kidding me? He's in this," and it just totally took me out of it. His whole dream of wanting to be this.
Took you out of it enough to buy it?
Well, yeah.
To add to your collection?
Yeah, I got it for like $5. Big deal.
You say that now.
Yeah, well, but this whole dream he has of being this kung fu master in real life and trying to carry it onto the big screen is just getting a little bit out of hand.
It actually has nothing to do with him wanting to be a kung fu master. It has to be with the part that he's part of the Wu-Tang Clan, and all of them are so entrenched in martial arts and the
not to mention they were drafted by the Asians.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see, what else did I have here? Cobra Commander. I like the new look. I hate the voice. I wish he would have had that high-pitched voice that they used in the cartoons, because that's what everybody remembers. You know, when you think of Cobra Commander from the cartoons, if you watch the cartoons, that's what you remember, that high-pitched. I can't even...
You were so close to trying to do an impression and then backed out. Do it.
You should have done it.
Man up.
No.
Man up, or you get an automatic
You brought it up.
You get an automatic L from me if you don't do a Cobra Commander impression right now.
No, I don't. Honestly, there's no way I can do it.
Well, try.
My balls have already dropped. There's
No,
no
let's
way
try.
I can do it. No.
Come on.
The guy who did the voice was an adult man.
I know it, but they probably put it through some kind of filter. And
He probably had no balls.
And he probably didn't have any balls. And he is a trained voiceover artist. So, no, I'm not going to go there.
Give it a shot, or you get an automatic L from me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right, hold on. I need some kind of dialogue here to say.
What's a famous Cobra saying the Cobra Commander would say, Vic?
Let's see. I'm trying to think of one that might be easy enough for him to... I'm trying to think of one that might be easy enough for him to get out.
No, just any of them. The more difficult, the funnier. Like, you know what? I guess I'll have to.
You gotta go find something. Okay, while you do that, I'm gonna go on to say, let's see, Yo Joe is a GI Joe trademark thing, and that's what everybody. Again, another thing that the cartoon always had in every episode, never said at all, not once. You got to include that.
So far, that is the only argument that I agree with you on.
Because
there was a perfect spot for them to put it in, and they didn't use it.
Right.
So.
And when Lady Jane figures out...
Lady J, not Jane.
Whatever. When she figures out that it's Zartan, well, she doesn't know that it's Zartan, but knows that that's not the real president, the explanation that she used to say, look, he said he used to say these words, now he's saying these words. He says soda, and now he says pop all the time. Or that's the most bullshit explanation reason. There's another thing. Look, and he used to hold his right hand over his left hand. Now he holds his left hand over his right hand. Seriously?
Have you ever watched an episode of Profiler, any kind of CSI thing where that exact thing has been used hundreds of times?
And it's
when
bullshit.
They figure out that someone is... It's an actual thing.
It's bullshit.
It's forensics.
It's bullshit. There is absolutely... I couldn't tell you how many times I've sat with one leg over the other and then maybe the other leg over the other one. It doesn't matter.
There are certain things you do, like burping and on a regular basis, that if you all of a sudden stop doing it, people would notice.
I'm sure some people would be happy with that.
And my argument is proved. You're wrong.
No.
Okay, you ready?
Okay.
I've got you a quote.
Oh, you got a quote for me? Okay.
The quote is, morons, I have morons on my payroll.
Morons! I've got morons on my payroll!
Oh my God, that was horrible.
How's that?
That's a fail.
Hey, at least I did
You
it.
didn't even put a hiss in it.
That's all right.
He always hissed as he talked.
But anyhow, what else you got? Are you done with your side?
I've been done. I just find it funny that the only real argument you have, and the only one that I would say was
Was the Yo Joe.
Was the Yo Joe.
I also think too. I know you said that there are lots of Joes and they all go on their own missions and stuff. But I felt that, like the first one, where were the characters from the first one? Where was Marlon Wayans? Yeah, where was Marlon Wayans at? As much as I hate to be saying that because he wasn't that great of a character in the first one, totally missing from this one. No mention of him at all. And it seemed like he and Channing Tatum were like BFS by the end of the movie. I forget who the other guy was. The dude that had the goatee that was in the first one, not in there. There are several characters I wish they would have had in here. And
from the first movie,
not just from the first movie, but I mean from their whole franchise.
But you do realize that that's the point of this. That's what I was telling you in my explanation of the movies. They're taking different sets and characters of the GI Joe franchise and putting them into all of the different movies.
Right.
The only connecting pieces to that is Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow in most cases when it comes to characters that are brought back in on a continuous storyline.
But with
and that's
this
because those
one,
two are always after each other.
But with this one, you put all of the big ones. Now there was none of the smaller characters like Shipwreck and I don't even remember some of the other names. But if I saw them, I would remember them. It's been so long since I watched the cartoon. But it's like they should have thrown in some of those and then left Flint out or left.
You were mad that they left him out in the first place. They put him in this one.
I'm not saying him specifically.
But your argument is
you put all your top guys in here, and now your next one you're not going to have.
But your argument is, which counters your whole statement before. They didn't have a character you like in the first one, so they put him in the second one. But now the second one, you're upset because they didn't have other characters you like. There's more movies coming. You're going to see other characters.
What I'm saying is, in this one, you're putting all your top-notch guys in here. Now, for this one, are you going to put all your top-notch guys in there again, or are you going to pull them out?
What do you mean top-notch guys?
These are your most popular people.
No.
Yes.
You're wrong.
Lady J, Flint, and Duke were the top, and Snake Eyes.
And Stalker, Shipwreck, you have Gung Ho, you have
those four though. The four that I named, those were the main ones. Those were the ones that everybody knew. Those were the characters at the top of the list. Yeah, those characters are good, but they're not at the top of the list. If you bring them in,
they were the main characters that were in every single episode of the GI Joe.
Right.
Every one of them.
Right, but these four that I'm talking about, Lady J, Flint, Duke, and Snake Eyes, those were at the top. Those were your starting four. This was a basketball team minus
Flint
a center.
wasn't introduced into the storyline until 3 seasons after because he's a secondary character. Yes, trust me, I know this.
All right, well, we're
your
gonna move on.
argument is foiled, sir.
Whatever. That's still my argument. They put all your top-notch guys in here, and now in the next movie, who's going to star in it? Those four, and then are you going to squeeze in these other ones?
You have The Rock coming back for sure. You have Lady J coming back for sure. Flint is not signed yet, but you have literally hundreds of characters to choose from in this pantheon of characters to make. So the movies could have any number of people in it.
They teased it a little bit with Lady J and Flint. They need to bring both those characters back and continue there because in the comics they end up hooking up and so they need to bring those back for sure. Whoever else they bring in is whatever. I don't have any. We'll see how it works out as far as it being a good follow up or not. But anyway,
for both of you.
Anyway,
for the past few minutes.
Did you fall asleep over there?
I almost went into a coma.
All right.
Not just sleep.
Well, let's talk about They Live. They Live is based on the short story 8 o'clock in the morning, originally written by Ray Nelson. John Carpenter adapted this into a feature-length film starring Roddy Piper and Keith David. It's a story of a drifter construction worker who finds a box of sunglasses, and at first he thinks they're normal sunglasses until he starts to look around at things and notice he's seeing subliminal messages. At first he doesn't know what the hell's going on, but then he starts to realize that even some people look a bit different. They look skeletonish, and then he realizes that they're actually aliens, and that the aliens are actually controlling the whole world, and the subliminal messages that they're seeing and everything, whether it be a stop sign, a billboard, stuff on TV, it's all set up by these aliens to control normal Earthlings. Roddy Piper, as I said, he plays the character Nada. His name is never mentioned in the film, but it's believed that it's in a reference to the original book where he plays the same character whose last name was Nada. And he has a friend named Frank who's played by Keith David, and he tries to convince Frank what's going on, and at first he doesn't believe him and thinks he's crazy, and until he gets him to put the sunglasses on, and then he starts to see things. At one point, he runs into a lady who works for the news channel, and he tries to talk her into saying, we need to get this out there to the other Earthlings so we can try and put a stop to this. She doesn't believe him, and until she actually eventually puts on the glasses, only to find out that while she's working for the aliens, she still is not. She double crosses Nada and Frank in the end. But throughout the film, in one part of the film, there's a 5.5 minute long fight scene between Keith David and Roddy Piper, which was originally only supposed to be less than a minute long, but John Carpenter let it go. They were actually punching each other. This was probably, I think, the longest fight scene ever on film, and it's not. It is.
It's not. Actually, if you look at Wikipedia, they tell you what it was fashioned after, and it rivals but does not beat that fight between John Wayne and some other dude in the Western.
Some other dude. But anyhow, it's an iconic scene because it 5 minutes and 20 seconds is how long it takes. It's actually in South Park they actually reenact it with Timmy and Jimmy, the handicapped characters of the show. And but this film also has one of the most memorable lines, and people say it. They know this line. I came here to kick ass. I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Oh, man.
God damn it. I knew you were going to do something.
Oh, such a fail. Oh, that was your big haymaker, too. The quote, and you fucked it up.
It's because I saw you out of the corner of my eye.
Oh, yeah, blame it on the ref.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I
ref.
didn't go for the phone until after you had already fucked up.
Because there was an oh shit face over there, which was like, I can't believe he just fucked that up. Then he went for the phone, so nice try.
I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. That's actually...
Did you fuck it up again?
No.
I'm almost out of bubblegum?
No, I didn't say that. I said I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. I'm all out of bubblegum. That's what it says.
He's reading it right off
Oh,
Wikipedia.
I thought it was almost out.
Yeah, goddamn.
He's reading it right off Wikipedia.
Yeah,
so
now play your little sound effect, your fail sound effect, but that's for you.
We'll give you another one.
That line was actually ad-libbed, and so I mean for that to make a movie, it's just great, and it's iconic, and everybody knows that.
Well, you realize like 90% of his script was ad-lib because he couldn't remember all the lines of the movie. So there's literally like a ton of stuff in there. Case in point, when Frank is talking to him and he tells him, I'm walking a white line here and I'm not going to cross it, he comes back with, well, driving in the road, in the middle of white lines in the middle of the road, you shouldn't drive there. That's the worst place to drive. Or some shit like that. Like, that doesn't even make sense to what he said. Like, you came back with something that's not even relevant to what the other characters said. You talk about my movie being bad acting. Now, I have nothing against Roddy Piper. The movie is actually something that I enjoyed watching over a number of times in my childhood, and to this day, I enjoyed watching it when I watched it last night. However, you cannot tell me that you believe that the acting in this movie is better than the acting in G.I. Joe. You cannot with a straight face say that.
Here's the thing. I'll preface by saying you're talking about a big budget Hollywood movie as opposed to basically an independent film. I mean,
that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, because you're talking about the talent of the actors compared.
Someone who's not a professional actor is taking on a role and doesn't do a great job at it.
This was Roddy Piper's first film.
Hold on. It's okay because he's not a professional actor. He's another kind of artist being a wrestler. But because he doesn't give the greatest ever scene and performance, it's okay.
Well,
that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, but RZA, who is a rapper by trade, is in a movie, and he doesn't give the greatest performance of his life in your opinion.
Yeah,
but it's not okay there.
Right, because this is a big Hollywood budget movie. Yours is, and they should have gotten somebody else better to play that. They could have got Sonny Chiba to play that role.
Did RZA do the music? That's what I assumed. He's like, I want to be in it.
He did do something.
We'd rather have you do the soundtrack.
He did do something.
He probably did. I wouldn't be surprised.
There is a scene in this movie that I cannot get past without bringing up. So Holly, who plays Evelyn in the movie, in another movie that we featured on a number of occasions here, Evelyn walks into the meeting that they're having for the Resistance and says, I look through your glasses, and I believe you now. After she fucking hit him over the head with a fucking bottle, knocked him out of a 12-story building, down a hill, almost killed him, and she's got this look on her face like she wants to eat him, but she wants to, like, throw him down on the floor. It is the worst acted scene I've ever seen in my life, and her performance in Masters of the Universe made this thing look like it was just shit on a cracker, because she has this ridiculous look on her face.
Wait, like it was what?
Shit on a cracker. That's what it made this movie look like. Like, her performance in this is so horrible.
I like that.
Coin that one. There's no way you can tell me that this acting in this movie is...
Again...
We might have to go back and redo the intro. I kind of like Corey's shit on a cracker Miller. A lot better.
It's horrible. And then she's like, I'm sorry I tried to kill you. And he's like, me too. That's exactly the look on her face. Like, it's ridiculous.
This is a podcast.
Doesn't matter.
People don't see
You're
it.
looking at me, and that's all that matters right now. It amazed me. He spent 25 minutes of screen time staring through a pair of binoculars at a church that he was just in a few minutes ago, that he watched people literally from me to the wall on the other side of this room walk out of. But from basically noon until the middle of the night, he watched them through a pair of binoculars for no good reason.
He knew he was watching it. He was casing the place. That's how you case it.
He was in it. You didn't need a case. He knew what was going on.
Not at the time.
Yes, he did.
Well, anyway,
that's why they knew where they were, because they're like, look at this dude, what's he looking at? They flew over the helicopter. They're like, this guy is like, there's got to be something going on in that building. They just called the cops because he was sitting there staring at him. I felt like I was watching Lord of the Rings, because he walked around more in this movie than I've seen anybody do in
bullshit
my
on
life.
that. You can't walk anymore.
He was just nonstop walking around. And then when you do figure out that there's aliens, like, and they could possibly be trying to take over the world, do you really just start screaming at them? Do you really just like, oh, you're an... and what is a Brazilian plastic surgeon exactly?
A surgeon that lives in Brazil.
Why is that relevant?
Because
he forgot the line.
I don't know.
Continue.
Anyway, this movie is a fan. I mean, people love this movie. GI Joe Retaliation. People aren't saying, "Oh, I love this movie."
Oh, there are people saying it. I can show you the quotes on Metacritic.
No. There are people. There are artists, like painters and those type of artists. They actually they live paintings. I don't see people making GI Joe Retaliation paintings.
No, they make a movie that makes $200 million.
The money
and then they make
matter.
multiple more movies because it made so much money, because people like it.
It was close to 400.
Just because it makes a whole bunch of money doesn't make it a good movie.
Unless that's Corey's argument.
Of course. on many of it.
Then the budget and the exceeding of the budget is the most important thing when it comes to judging a film.
And it's fresh rating based on whether or not his movie is better than the other.
I stopped bringing that info up because it's all subjective. Rotten Tomatoes is subjective. And
this podcast is subjective, dumbass. We said at the beginning of the podcast, that's the whole point.
Subjective opinion.
We're arguing about shit that's subjective. And we pick a winner.
And those people...
Just like somebody picked us as a winner for a fucking award. For this.
Thanks for having me.
Continue.
Get out while you can, Chris.
It only gets worse.
But anyway, that's why this movie's better, because it's more liked by fans than G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Even though it tanked.
The money doesn't matter.
commercial time. All right, our special guest, Chris Trueblood. Chris, where can the people find you at?
They can find me on Twitter, on the Facebook, and on the YouTube.
Where would they look for the band?
For the band, That 90s Band, at That 90s Band on Twitter, That 90s Band Music on Facebook, and That 90s Band on YouTube. And we soon have material loading on there.
Awesome. Vic, where can the people find you?
You can find me online at MillerKing51 and on Xbox One at Black and Angry. That's BLAQ and Angry.
Corey?
All right, you can find me at NKOGonzo on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can find me at BradScottComedy.com and at IndieBradScott on Twitter and Instagram. And follow the show on Twitter at The Showdown Pod. Click like The Showdown Podcast on Facebook. Somebody should. And let's get back to the show. All right. Welcome back. We have taken time to deliberate. And Chris, have you made a decision?
Yes, actually, I have made a decision.
All right, Chris. Well, the way it works is we're going to go ahead and you are the guest. You will give us your decision first, and then just give us kind of a brief explanation as to why you made that decision.
Okay. I decided with Vic as the winner of this contest. This was to the death, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be snapping his neck right after the
Finish him!
Yes.
No, I chose Vic because although I personally did not care for GI Joe Retaliation, you had a fine dissertation and a proven argument against Corey here.
Thank you, sir.
Which honestly doesn't take too much generally to do. It's not very...
You had a better argument. It was a blockbuster film. I'm sorry, Corey.
Yeah. I'm not asking you back.
Roddy Piper was a terrible actor.
The good thing is,
But it is a great movie though, because it is one of my favorites. And the G.I. Joe thing is, I thought the first movie was terrible, and I kind of felt like they just did the second one, bringing in new characters and wiping the old ones. Let's just sweep the other movie under the rug and come out with a whole new thing.
An unrebooted reboot.
And then we'll reboot it as a sequel.
Yes.
But you did make a lot of valid arguments that were true for the whole thing. So,
Brad?
He hated us both. He hated both arguments because this is usually where this goes.
Yeah.
I'm a little afraid because it's taking him longer than normal.
Yeah, I know. I can't imagine.
I think he's going back to the tape.
I can't imagine where he's
I'm
going.
not sure what he's doing.
Yeah, I see. He's scrolling.
I have to edit this.
I'm playing. No, that's okay.
We're
doing play-by-play. He's scrolling through his cell phone right now. I don't know. He might be looking for some sound bites.
I forgot to have this ready to go. This one's on me.
Yeah.
This one's on me, gang.
We're not going to get beat down for this one.
Usually it's my fault somehow.
I gotta hang on. All right.
Still scrolling. So Vic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, pretty good.
First one's in my corner so far.
I know. It's not looking good for me. So that's all right.
It really was one of those situations of you kind of.
I'm getting used to it by now.
So the movie is an hour and a half long, so it fits into that argument of yours that an hour and a half is about all you needed for the GI Joe movie, but literally 1 hour and 10 minutes of that movie was nothing more than leading up to the last 20 minutes of the movie, which is where all the action was. It's aside from the fight, which, mind you, is a great fight.
But it is kind of like one of those cult classic movies.
Yeah.
That if you're gonna,
it's almost like if you don't like it, someone's gonna hit you with a brick. It's one of those situations. But the other thing that I was thinking about with that movie, I was watching it, and I didn't notice this before when the first 100 times I probably watched this movie. In that fight scene where they beat the living fuck out of each other for that full 5 minutes or whatever time it is, they come out of that fucked up.
It's because they didn't pull any punches.
He has
literally
this raspberry on the back of his head that I remember as a kid going, fuck, that's not going to heal.
Yeah, they literally did not pull any punches.
Yeah.
Except for
until they got to the hotel and went and cleaned up, and then nobody had a bruise.
All right, I am ready.
Oh, God.
Okay, so...
This, listeners, is what I'm afraid of.
So Vic had a pretty impressive argument. Very long argument.
as well.
Filibuster.
They Live, though, man. That's such a good movie. But not good enough to beat Vic's argument. Corey, you lost. We have a unanimous champion. Vic's argument is just so much better than yours. You didn't talk about your Rotten Tomatoes scores at 83%.
I don't talk about Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Yeah, and that's probably why you lost.
Yeah, And that theme song was nowhere in this movie either.
So that is the results today. Vic is the sole champion.
Imagine that.
And, G.I. Joe trumps the hot rod, I guess.
I'm very happy with this win. Because I really did think it was going to be a very tough fought win for me to go against Roddy Piper with two massive wrestling fans on the other side of the table.
Is that you? Are you a massive
I think
wrestling
he's
fan?
referring to you.
Oh, okay. And then you.
Yeah.
So, Chris, you are part of that 90s band. You play 90s rock music. Do you guys travel?
No.
A whole lot more of just local
Just pretty much local.
Indianapolis? How long have you guys been together?
We've been together for about 3 years now.
Okay. And you remind me a lot of Jimmy Roberson, by the way, comedian in Indianapolis. It is pretty. You got kind of the look too, and then the voice and the cadence and everything. So it's freaking me out.
Doppelganger.
So what are some of the highlights that you guys have had so far?
Well, we submitted an audition tape to open for Everclear at the Vogue back in November as part of a contest. We found out like 2 days before the deadline, so we went over to our guitar player's warehouse where we rehearse at, set our phones up everywhere. Neil threw together an audition video out of the 5 songs we recorded. Hodgepodge. It was very loose, very, very quickly done.
We know all about
Yes.
that.
And we posted it, and we actually won this thing.
Nice.
And we got to open for Everclear at the Vogue for a 30-minute set, and it's been crazy since then. I mean, everyone's calling us, everyone wants us to play. No, not really, actually. But no, word of mouth has gotten out, and it seems like we are getting booked a lot more now.
Yeah.
Because of that.
And how was Everclear? Did you get a chance to meet them? Did you hang out with them at all?
Yes, we hung out. Well, we didn't get to hang out with them. The band was not seen.
Don't worry, they're probably not going to listen to this show, so if you badmouth them, they're not going to hear it.
So Art was he was pretty awesome. He was very cool. He seemed like he was rather fucked up.
That was going to be my next question.
But the rest of the band, we never even saw them until they came out and played. There was a second band that played with them called Hydra Melody, at Hydra Melody. They are very awesome. Check them out. They're from Austin, Texas. So we actually played 30 minutes. They played an hour, and then Everclear came out and played their thing. They were really good, but Art, he's over the years, he's kind of lost it a little bit, So he
not the same as seeing them in '94.
Right, a couple times he actually forgot the lyrics.
Oh shit!
Wow,
Yeah.
how'd they glaze over that?
But people were clearing out of there. Believe it or not. And when we went on, there was about 800 people in there. They sold the show out, and the Vogue called us back. We were playing again on January 8th for their '90s throwback.
Oh, nice!
Yeah, so we're playing an hour, and we're actually opening for another '90s act out of Chicago called Mallrats.
Oh, okay. What is that now? Are they a cover band?
They are also a cover band. So we had to cross our set list to make sure we didn't. We cover about 50% of our songs overlap.
Oh, wow.
So we've got our sets down for this. So it's going to be a good
So do you have to go and
show.
figure out new songs to play?
No. But we have recently added new material.
Yes.
Outshined and Cherub Rock.
I didn't hear Cherub. Did you guys?
We did that in the third set.
It was the third
last
set,
show.
yeah.
You missed that one.
Yeah, I didn't hear that one. They just played this past weekend as we're recording this, and
I was going to say, are you going to fill us in as to what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
I was at their last show that they did just a couple nights ago, and the sound great. Outshine sound really good.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Yeah. We played at Drifty Sports Pub, and they are looking to book us again here very shortly. as well as Shipwrecked 2. I don't know the name of the bar. It's very new now.
The nice thing about being like a 90s cover band, you'll have an audience till the end of time. Because, like, not knowing anything about you before you came here, other than meeting you the one time that you recorded one of my comedy shows, my little comedy skits. When he said 90s band, I mean, it was like, that's a concert I would go to. Because I'm kind of old. You know?
Yeah,
not
as old as Corey.
Yeah, not as old as me.
God, like, God isn't as old as Corey.
Dirt is younger than Corey.
So I'm not big on going to live music anymore, but I would love to go hear because that's the music I grew up with. So that and 16 Candle. Are you familiar with them?
Oh, very familiar.
80s.
Yes.
They're an 80s band, right? Yeah. Now, do you guys have any? Is there beef? You want to create something? Let's talk some shit.
Well, there is. There's this one thing that happened, but I really can't go into it.
Oh no! Absolutely not. Go into it.
Just
I mean, you can be vague.
No,
you don't have to use any names.
We get 5 listeners, maybe.
And you're on the show, so we only have 4 today.
But as the bass player, I'm pretty insignificant to the band, so what I could say will never get out. But I digress.
Thank you for joining us on an award-winning podcast.
I love that after 3 episodes of saying that, you still laugh.
It's because it's still unbelievable to me. But thank you for joining us. Chris Trueblood of That 90s Band. Check out That 90s Band everywhere in Indianapolis in the year 2016. For Vic Miller, for Corey Miller.
Shit on a cracker Miller.
Corey shit on a cracker. Calorie Mueller.
There it is.
I'm Brad Scott. We'll see you next time.